Did you know that not all of Peppa's characters are what they seem? There are many characters with mysterious pasts, and I bet the first one and the last one are going to leave you shocked. I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but Mr. Wolf is one of the most enigmatic characters in the series, and that's because there's a theory that he's not a wolf at all, but actually a person in disguise. One of the clues is in the episode Mr. Wolf's House, where the big wolf himself hires Daddy Pig to build a new house for the wolf family. If this sounds familiar, it's because it was totally intentional on the part of the show's creators, and it's a direct reference to the story of the Three Little Pigs. Thinking about it that way, it's kind of genius that they made Daddy Pig an architect, don't you think? But the first clue that Mr. Wolf is actually a human disguised as a predator happens when he goes to see his new house, and he says he wants to test its security by giving it a few big huffs and puffs. It might seem obvious, but wolves can't blow, and only someone who knows the story of the Three Little Pigs would understand the reference. Look at that! We can see on Daddy Pig's face that he didn't get it at all. Ever since then, in other episodes where the wolf family shows up, it always feels like there's that strange air hanging around. Could it be that the pig family is starting to notice something strange? If you think so, then grab your popcorn with lots of bacon, subscribe to the channel, because another mysterious video is starting right here on Zigzag. You can't talk about werewolves without talking about vampires. But unlike Mr. Wolf, who is kind of a reverse werewolf, Madame Gazelle is a normal vampire, if you can even call vampires normal. But not just that, she's the coolest kind of vampire there is, a rocker vampire. First, let's address the gothic elephant in the room and prove how she really is a vampire. In the Halloween special episode, we get an unusual scene where the song says that Madame Gazelle had a castle, and in that castle, there were vampires, and then Susie shows up dressed as a little vampire at the party. But right in the very next scene, when we see Madame Gazelle in front of the mirror, she has no reflection, and that should already be proof enough. But I have one more. In the episode Sun, Sea, and Snow, all the families go to the beach to enjoy the sun. But when they get there, they are surprised to find a completely white beach because it had snowed overnight. Madame Gazelle, who is already literally dead inside, doesn't care at all, runs right ahead, throws herself into the freezing water, and even has the nerve to say it feels warm and comfortable. Mummy Pig, who should know better, jumps in right after and immediately regrets it. And then comes the question, how did Madame Gazelle handle that freezing cold so easily? Simple. Vampires have cold bodies, just like the water at the beach. Of all the mysteries in this cartoon, Grandpa Pig's past is one of the biggest. Think about it. What do you know about his younger days? Absolutely nothing. Well, I know, and I'm going to tell you right now. This good old pig was a pirate. That's right, you heard it. And the most obvious clues happen in the episodes Grandpa Pig's Boat and The Biggest Muddy Puddle in the World, where we can literally see him raising the mast with a black flag and a white skull. This may be a surprise to you, but what Grandpa Pig is doing is a crime. That's because it's forbidden to sail with a pirate flag, since all boats must be registered and carry the flag of their country of origin to make identification easier. But there's more, because in the episode where Mr. Bull is cleaning up the river, they eventually end up digging up a chest stuffed with treasures. And Grandpa Pig puts on the biggest face of someone who doesn't understand anything, pretending he doesn't know what that is. And then he has to let the police take the treasure away, instead of taking it, well, himself. What would you do if you found a treasure like that? Tell us with the hashtag treasure so we can dream together. Still talking about Grandpa Pig's pirate life, we have an enigmatic character who appeared in this episode who is not a Peppa Pig character. How so, you ask me? Pirate Redbeard is indeed a famous character, and he always shows up, but not in Peppa's cartoon. He belongs to the cartoon Ben and Holly's Little Kingdom. He's kind of like a well-known secondary character in the style of Mrs. Rabbit, but from that universe. But what if I told you that that universe is the same as Peppa's? You'd probably think I'm crazy, but there's an episode of Ben and Holly that proves it. Want to know which one? In the episode, The Tooth Fairy, Holly is going through Tooth Fairy training in the real world. And in that episode, we see that they arrive in the bedroom of a human girl who is sleeping. If you look closely on the side of the screen, there's a Peppa doll there, because this little girl is probably a fan of the greatest puddle jumper in the world. But I said all of this was part of Peppa's universe, right? And there aren't many humans around there. And that happens for a reason. Ben, Holly, and Redbeard can travel through all these worlds by using magical portals. That's why they go from their world to the real world, and even to Peppa's world. Pretty awesome, right? Now pay attention, because the next theory is going to stick you to the ceiling. Mrs. Rabbit is the funniest running joke in the entire series. Whenever someone needs help from any of her services, she seems to be able to solve absolutely any problem because she simply has every single job that exists. Well, except pirate and architect. Those are left to the pig patriarchs, right? But what if, in reality, all of Mrs. Rabbit's work is not just some elaborate plan for world domination and control of the economy? Think I went too far? Well, I can dig even deeper.
What?
Have you noticed that the characters in Peppa have very peculiar names? The parents are always Daddy or Mummy something, and the little ones always have names. Peppa, Pedro, Kylie, Emily, and so on. But with the Rabbit family, it's different. We have Mummy, Daddy, and Rebecca. Okay, that fits the pattern. But what about all the other rabbits that work in the most essential functions of the town where they live? All of them are just Mrs. Rabbit. None of them seem to have an identity. And that's why we laugh imagining they're all the same hard-working rabbit. But the dark truth is this. Mummy Rabbit is the leader of a sinister cult that controls the inhabitants of Peppa's world, and all the Mrs. Rabbits in this universe are her servants and soldiers. Have you ever stopped to think how the entire society would collapse if all the Mrs. Rabbits went on strike? It would be total chaos. And you can help prevent this chaos. It's very easy. Just click the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell, so you'll never miss another amazing video like this. If we're talking about Peppa Pig mysteries, Santa Claus is definitely one of the biggest ones. You know why? Because there are so many unanswered questions. For example, in the episode where Peppa's school is going to put on a performance for Santa Claus, she sees the jolly old man in several places around town, but all of them treat her as if they've never met before and don't know about the performance. We already know there are very few humans in this world, and that one of them even dresses up as a wolf. But of all the humans that exist, could it be that all of them dress up as Santa Claus? Could it be that they're all a fraud? That's where things get even more confusing, because in the episode Santa Claus, we meet Santa for the very first time. And Daddy Pig tries to explain to Peppa as carefully as possible that it wasn't real, without crushing his daughter's dreams. But at the end of the episode, we get the plot twist that this guy was actually the real Santa Claus, because they fly off in his sleigh. But did you notice the strange part? If this guy is the real Santa Claus, who are the others? How many humans exist in this world after all? And why are there so many fake Santas scattered around? Which mystery was the most amazing in this video? Tell me, because I really want to know.